You don't realize you've been reported to immigration until you're sitting in an office in Yangchenggu, staring at a document with your name on it, and 4 anonymous complaints, filed over 3 months, by the same man who taught you how to eat tteokbokki without burning your mouth. The man who showed you which subway exit to take. The man you thought was your neighbor. In Seoul, you learned the city will let you build a life, give you a routine, give you a person who feels like an anchor, and then show you the receipt. You moved to Seoul because you ran out of reasons not to. Back home in the States, you have a job that pays your bills and a life that fits perfectly and absolutely nothing that surprises you anymore. You've watched enough Seoul vlogs to know the aesthetic, neon signs and street food and subway systems that run like a country that actually tried. You know it from the outside. The outside looks like exactly what you need. So you pack 2 suitcases, you find a remote job that pays in dollars, you book a one-way ticket to Incheon. You tell people it's a fresh start. It's a dare. You land at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday in March. The subway from the airport is 9,001, less than $7. It runs smooth and silent and exactly on time. You sit in a clean seat in a clean car watching Seoul materialize outside the window, apartment towers stacked on hills, Han River lit below a bridge, the city enormous and completely unbothered by the fact that you just arrived. You find your Gashiwon, a tiny furnished room in Mapogu, 450,000 won a month, the size of a parking space with a window, bed, desk, mini fridge, a shared bathroom down the hall. You put your suitcase down, you sit on the bed. You think, I made the right call. You were right about Seoul. You were wrong about what Seoul would cost you. The first thing Seoul teaches you is that efficient is not the same as easy. The city runs perfectly, the subway is never late, the internet is the fastest you've ever used. You can get fried chicken delivered to your door at 2 a.m. in under 20 minutes. But Seoul runs perfectly for Koreans. For you, everything has a hidden step, a form, a number, a system that assumes you already know the system. Opening a bank account requires an alien registration card. Getting an ARC requires registering at the immigration office. Registering at the immigration office requires your lease. Getting a lease requires a Korean guarantor. Getting a Korean guarantor requires knowing a Korean. You don't know any Koreans. You call the 1345 immigration helpline. You wait 17 minutes. You explain your situation in slow English to someone who is trying their best and can only tell you to visit the office in person. You visit the office in person, you wait 2 hours, you leave with a form that needs 3 documents you don't have yet. The loneliness is not dramatic. It arrives the way Seoul's humidity arrives in summer, not suddenly, just absolutely, until you realize you've been breathing it for weeks. You have colleagues from the remote job, faces on a screen in a different time zone. They end their calls and disappear into their evenings while yours is just starting. You eat convenience store kimbap for dinner 3 nights in a row because CU is right downstairs and you haven't figured out the neighborhood yet. The kimbap is 1,500 won, about $1. It's the best thing about the first 2 weeks. By month 2 you have a routine. Morning coffee at a cafe on the corner, one of those sleek minimal places with pour-over on the menu and indie music that somehow sounds expensive. The owner learns your order by week 3. Americano, no ice. He makes it when he sees you coming through the door. He doesn't know your name, just your order. In Seoul, that counts as a relationship. You buy a T-Money card, you learn the subway lines by color. You figure out that Mapogu is better at night, Hongdae is better on weekends, and the Han River at dawn is better than any Instagram post ever told you. You find a language exchange app. You meet a Korean guy named Junho for coffee. He wants to practice English. You want to survive in Korean. You meet 3 Tuesdays in a row. By the 4th Tuesday, he has a girlfriend and disappears. That's also how things work here. Then there's Mr. Song. He lives across the hall in your Gashiwan, 60s, retired, neat pressed shirts even on weekends, grew up in Seoul, raised his kids here, watched the neighborhood change 4 times. He knocks on your door one evening with a container of doenjang jjigae, fermented soybean soup, deep and warm, the kind of thing that tastes like someone's mother made it because someone's mother did. He says, "I made too much." You say, "Thank you." He says, "Do you know how to eat this?" You eat it wrong. He corrects you. You eat it right. He becomes your translator for everything the city doesn't put into English. He teaches you which convenience store has the best ramyeon. He teaches you to bow at exactly the right angle for exactly the right person. He takes you to the Pajangmatcha, the street food tent 2 blocks away, the one with the orange tarp, where you drink soju from small glasses and eat iamuk on a stick, and he tells you about Seoul in the 70s, when this neighborhood was half its size and twice as loud. He teaches you the Korean word for a specific kind of loneliness, the one that exists even in a crowd. You tell him that's the word you've been looking for since you landed. He nods like he already knew. You buy a plant, you hang your jacket on the back of the door like someone who lives here. You stop counting the weeks. You think this is what it feels like to be known somewhere. The letter arrives on a Monday. Korea Immigration Service, request to appear for an interview, suspected violation of conditions of stay. You read it 4 times. Your visa is an E2, English teacher visa. You work 1 job, 1 school, legal and documented. You've never overstayed a day. You've filed every form they asked for. You go to the Yongchun immigration office on Thursday morning. You wait 90 minutes. The officer behind the desk has a folder, your name on the tab. He says, "We have received reports." Anonymous tips, 4 of them, filed through the Korea Immigration Service online reporting system, alleging you have been conducting unauthorized private tutoring from your residential address, cash payments, outside your visa terms. You say that's not true. He says the reports include dates and descriptions, people entering your building in the evenings. You go through it carefully. You work 1 job. The only people who have come to your building in the evenings are Junho, twice, months ago. And Mr. Song, many times. Mr. Song. Who knows your floor, who knows your schedule, who has stood in this hallway enough times to describe it to anyone who asked. You sit in that office, and your brain does the arithmetic before your chest has caught up. 4 reports filed over 3 months. The doenjang jjigae, the pajangmatcha, the soju, the Korean word for loneliness. All of it after week 1, all of it keeping you close, all of it giving him access. You go back to the Gashiwan that evening. You knock on Mr. Song's door. He opens it, neat pressed shirt, the same warmth, the face that fed you soup. You ask him directly. He doesn't deny it. He explains it calmly, the way he explained the correct angle of a bow, like a lesson you needed. The Korea Immigration Service operates a public reporting system. Citizens can file reports on suspected visa violations. For verified reports, a civic cooperation incentive is issued, 50,000 won per verified report. He filed 200,000 won total. Starting 3 weeks after the doenjang jjigae. You stand in his doorway. 200,000 won, about $150. He sold your trust for $150. Every correction, every lesson, every orange tarp pajangmatcha, every small human moment in a city of 10 million strangers. All of it was maintenance, keeping you comfortable, keeping you close enough to observe, keeping you from disappearing before he was done. You weren't his neighbor. You were his documentation. Your visa renewal is denied, pending investigation, 30 days to leave voluntarily. 3 lawyers, same answer. 4 verified reports from a Korean citizen with no history of false claims, your word against his. Except it was never your word against his. It was a foreigner's word against a citizen's word. In that equation, the math was decided before you walked into the room. You pack same 2 suitcases, heavier now. You leave the plant, plants can't fly. You go to the corner cafe one last time, the owner sees you at the door, he starts making your Americano, no ice. You sit down, you watch Mapogu through the window. Taxis and mopeds and people walking fast the way Seoul people always walk, like the city is moving and you either keep up or you don't. He puts the cup down, doesn't ask, doesn't say anything. Just makes the coffee. Because that's the only thing he knows about you, not your name, your order. In this city, you learned, that's the version of being known that doesn't cost you anything. Your mom says when you land, at least you got to see Seoul. She means it with love, it lands like a verdict. Because it wasn't a trip, it was a life, a pajang matcha under an orange tarp, donjang jade jiggy from a container, the Korean word for loneliness in a crowd that you finally had a name for. Somewhere in Mapogu, a door opens across the hall. A man in a neat pressed shirt watches a new foreigner arrive with 2 suitcases. He knocks. He says, "I made too much." He teaches them the correct angle of a bow. He files the first report 3 weeks later. And Seoul keeps spinning. 10 million people, one foreigner who came looking for a life, and found out what the city charges for letting you feel like you belonged. Seoul didn't need your story. It just needed your address. If this hit somewhere real, drop a comment. One moment, the first time Seoul showed you what it actually was underneath the neon. Not the street food reel, not the subway vlog, the real one, the Monday morning letter one. Because that's where the real stories live. And if you're somewhere right now building something small and yours, subscribe. Every week, a new city, a new story about what it costs to build a life somewhere that wasn't built for you. No highlight reels, just the honest version. Because somewhere out there, someone just landed at Incheon with 2 suitcases and a dare. They deserve to know what comes next. Foreign ground for everyone who is somewhere they didn't quite expect to be.